afternoon, everyone. It's very nice to meet you all here today, and I believe that there are some people watching us online, so I would like to say thank you for participating in this session. So it's my great honor and privilege to have this session together with these two wonderful speakers you will have soon. So yeah, first of all, my name is Ji-Hong Lee. I am the head of Office of Education and Training at APSEU. So for those who don't know what APSEU is, I'll be talking about that later. However, APSEU is a UNESCO Category 2 center located in Seoul, Korea. So yeah, I am so happy to have these two speakers with me today. So we will be talking about what roles these young people have in this society to promote the global citizenship. And two speakers, Mr. Diego Manrique and Ms. Anna Susarenko, will talk about what they have been doing so far and what global citizenship means to young people and what we have to do together. Okay, so let me introduce Mr. Diego Manrique here. Hello, Diego.
Hello, Ji-Hong. Thank you so much for the introduction. Happy to be here with you.
Okay, yeah, thank you for joining. I know it's very early in the morning there, and then yeah, thanks for joining in this early morning. So yeah, and then hello, Anna Susarenko. Hi, how are you?
Good morning, good afternoon. Hello, everyone. Thank you.
Yeah, these Anna and Diego, they were the participants of our training program on global citizenship education a few years ago, and they are the core members of GCED Youth Network, which is a group of young people, young leaders who are working towards a culture of peace through global citizenship education. And they will talk about this global citizenship education and GCED Youth Network as well. Okay, so before we invite I invite the speakers, I would like to do my own presentation briefly. So can we see the screen now? Yeah, okay. Yeah, so let me go over what APSEU is and what we're doing and what global citizenship education is very briefly, because it will be spoken by our speakers later. So yeah. So yeah, APSEU is the UNESCO Category 2 center, as I mentioned earlier, and we are missioned to promote a culture of peace through education, particularly global citizenship education and education for international understanding. So we were established in the year of 2000 by the agreement between the Korean government and UNESCO headquarters. So these are the program areas that we are now working on. So I'll be talking about mainly the first program, the capacity building of educators. So we are working with the UNESCO member states in the Asia Pacific and beyond. And also we are working with many individuals and NGOs and civil societies, academia, and many professionals out there to promote this global citizenship education. Okay, so do you know what global citizenship education is? So some of you might know what it is, and some of you already are doing something on the promotion of this global citizenship. So yeah, GCED, we just call it GCED because global citizenship education is quite long. So GCED is a transformative education framework that promotes the knowledge and skills and values and attitudes of the learners so that they could contribute to building a more peaceful, sustainable, inclusive, and just society. So we think that the global citizens are actually everyone. We believe that everyone is global citizen because we all belong to this planet and we live all together in this global community. So we believe that everyone is and everyone should be a global citizen. So we believe that the global citizens are the ones who think and act for a more just, peaceful, and sustainable world. So why youth then? So you might wonder, okay, now you understand that our center is working on this global citizenship education, And then there are many different target groups out there. So we are working mainly on the capacity building of educators, but it doesn't really mean that these educators are the teachers in the schools. So it's way broad. So we also cover the educators in informal, non-formal sectors as well. And also together with these educators, we believe that the young people are very, very important. So we assume that these young people, young leaders, they assume many different roles in this society. So first of all, yes, many of them are learners. Actually, they attend the schools, or they are either at the college or high schools, or they are doing their own learning. And also, they are the member of their own community. So it could be the local physical community that they belong to, or it could be some online community, virtual community. Like these days, we belong to many different, we engage in many different online activities, right? So yeah, they belong to these communities, right? And also we think that they are the social innovators. So yesterday and today, we have heard about many innovative stories of the young leaders all around the world. So like that, many social innovations are being made by young people. And also there are the knowledge creators. They are not just recipients of this knowledge, but at the same time, they are creating the knowledge, they are shaping the knowledge, they are sharing the information. So we believe that this is very, very important role that they have. And also, many of them are already leaders, as we call them young leaders, right? So they assume this leadership position, and some of them, they may not be in a position of leading something or someone, but they are the potential leaders. And also educators. As I mentioned earlier, many young people are involved in education. They could teach somebody in their own communities, or they are teachers. At the same time, they're doing their own campaigns and advocating, and they're educating people in many different ways and many different forms. And I think the last thing will be the very important thing, though they are being as a global citizen. So there are so many things that they can do and they should do. All right? So this is how we see the young people, and that's why we are focusing on these young people in our program. So yeah, these are the programs that we have at AFSEU, and I will be talking about 3 or 4 programs that we have, and these all programs are being done with our young leaders, including Diego and Anna. So the first thing is the Youth Leadership Workshop on GCED. So every year, we invite 50 young leaders all around the world so that they could share their stories like we do now. But it's training program, so they learn from one another, and also they learn about some new things under the Global Citizenship Education. So we work with the GCED Youth Network as our partner. So they're organizing the sessions, they're facilitating the dialogues and discussions with the young people. So this is very, very meaningful gathering. And then after that, for the first 5 years we've been doing here in Korea, so we invited these young leaders to Korea so that we can meet together, we can talk together, we can share, and then we do something together. However, due to this pandemic, since last year, we've been doing this in online format. So yeah, we are talking about the global citizenship education. At the same time, we're talking about youth advocacy, how young people can contribute better to promoting this global citizenship. And then after the training program, we encourage our participants, young participants, to do their own initiatives in their own local communities. And what AFSEU does is that we support their initiatives. So there are some regional or local initiatives, many different initiatives are being done. So I just put some photos here. So there are the pictures taken by our young leaders all around the world. So many of them are organizing their own training programs for their local community members. And also some of them, they're developing some materials and resources on global citizenship education. And also, since they're very young, and they're involved in many different campaigns, like online campaigns and offline campaigns and advocacy activities as well. So these pictures are taken one in Moldova and the others one from India, Mongolia, and others. And also, we create some platform for dialogue and discussion. So this year, we have made this a webinar series under the title of the From a Refugee to a Global Citizen. So we have invited these 3 speakers who were also the participants of our training program, who have the refugee backgrounds, meaning that they are living in different countries as refugees, but they don't see themselves just as a refugees. Rather, they see themselves as global citizens. And in this webinar, they have shared how they have transformed their idea and their identity from refugees to global citizens. So like this, we are trying to make this kind of venues where these young people could come and share their stories so that they can inspire other young people out there. And these are some other programs that we also work with the GCED Youth Network. So we have this e-learning courses on global citizenship education so that many people can learn about global citizenship education for free and in their own time. So we have created one course, The Voices of Youth, the GCED through Youth. So it focuses on how these young people, can do and why global citizenship matters to young people. So yeah, these were also facilitated by Anna and Diego and other members. And also we developed some resources and materials together on global citizenship education, which would fit better for these young readers. So yeah, like this, we are doing quite many programs and activities together with the young people. And the most important thing is that we try to put them in the center of creating all these things together, not just as recipients. So they are doing a lot of contributions to this, and also they are engaging in very actively. So we always appreciate that. So yeah, this is the end of my presentation. So I just wanted to let you know what AFCEU does and how we are working with the GCED Youth Network. So I think now it's Diego's turn to share his presentation. So Diego, are you ready?
Yes, yeah, I think so. Great. So thank you so much, Jihan, for that great introduction and for the overview of what APSEU does and also the overview of what we have been doing together. I always like to say that for the GCED network and for myself, it's a very meaningful opportunity to be able to collaborate with APSEU and the Education and Training Office that Jihan leads right now. So thank you, and I'm going to move on now to talk a little bit about more in depth of GCED and how does this look for young people. And I'm going to be talking about this with my colleague Anna, who will be here in a moment. And we titled our presentation GCED Global Citizenship Education, a Pathway for a Better Tomorrow. For a number of reasons, but mainly because we believe that through GCED, through global citizenship education, and this whole idea of global citizenship, we can promote or we can build collectively a pathway for a better tomorrow. So this is a very powerful tool that we have at our disposal, and I think for young people especially, it's something that we need to be looking at and acting upon. So before we talk about GCED more in depth, we wanted to talk about the GCED network and what it does. So let me just see if you're seeing the same slide. If we move on to the next slide on the screen. Just a second, thank you. So the GCED network, as you can see on the screen, is an independent youth-led structure that was established in 2016, and it was supported. Its establishment was supported by APSEU in order to promote a more active, meaningful participation from youth on the advancement of global GCED at the global scale, but also regionally and locally. I'm putting here the email of the network in case you want to reach out, and also the website for the network as well. And basically we have the structure that you can see on the screen. So it's a three-tier structure composed by at the one part the core team, which me and Anna are part of, which is most of the times composed between by 8 and 12 members. Then we have around 250 alumni of the activities that we have conducted, mostly together with APCU, but also throughout the different types of collaborations. So there can be a higher number that we can add here, but this is mainly the collaborations that we have with APCU. And then we have a very small amount of supporters. And when we say supporters, we basically refer to those that do not necessarily work with us directly, but that would support our cause and what are the things that we're working on advancing. And we basically work with this 4 action areas in mind. So training, diffusion, support, and connect. And I'm going to talk about this in a moment. So basically, this lines of action. The first one, training being online and offline, and we basically do this through our collaboration with APCU. So Jihan mentioned some of the things that we've been working on together, but through the individual members of the network, we are also doing some actions locally. So the members of the network are usually spread around the world in different regions, different countries. So therefore, there's different actions that are being done both at the, let's say, institutional level, but also individual level with the different organizations and other networks that the members are also part of in their countries. Diffusion. By diffusion, we mean that we try to think of ourselves as this mechanism that can spread information about GCED and also about what other young people are doing in terms of sustainable development and different areas that are related to global citizenship education. For instance, online campaigns, having webinars, having Facebook live sessions, and so on. So trying to find mechanisms that can be attractive to diffuse information about this. Also support in the sense that we, whenever possible, trying to use our limited resources, we would help different, especially alumni from the activities that are trying to implement a new project, that are have questions about GCED and how to implement a certain activity in their countries and so on. So this is something else. And also finally, connection. So I like to think also that we are this bridge between different young people, different organizations, different opportunities. So this is another thing that we try to do to connect whomever we believe has the potential to work together. And when it comes to young people, it's quite broad, right? So this is something else that we like to think of ourselves doing. So that was just a brief overview of the network and what we do. Again, I'm going to be sharing the contact information for both me and Anna and the network, as well as the website later in the presentation. So you can access it and you can reach out if you have any questions. So let's now jump to GCED more specifically. So GCED, Global Citizenship Education. And I think that many of you are probably familiar with this concept, with this idea, but not everyone. So let's go ahead and jump into it. And so I think there might be a bit of a delay on the presentation that you're seeing on the screen if you're on site, but basically GCED can be considered as different things. It can be understood in different ways. First of all, it can be understood as a framework, as a tool, as a means, a guideline. It can be understood as a dynamic. It can be understood as a foundation for something. But basically, regardless of the way in which you're calling it, the main idea or the main thing here is to be able to understand this key concept, and I'm using UNESCO's concept of global citizenship that says that global citizenship, and therefore the education to build this, refers to a sense of belonging to a broader community, a common humanity, emphasizing political, economic, social, and intercultural interdependency and interconnectedness. And these are two key concepts: is interdependency and interconnectedness between the local, the national, and the global. So as we can see, it's about how we identify ourselves as part of this global community as part of this bigger globe, that although we are acting from the local scope, then to be aware that we can and we are playing a meaningful role at the global level as well. So I wanted to briefly touch upon some of the objectives of GCED, and this is also based on UNESCO, and there are many objectives, and I think when we're talking about young people, especially, the objectives can be quite broad and quite diverse, but I wanted to briefly touch upon some of these. So basically, one of the main objectives of GCED that is relevant for today is that GCED tries to try to promote an understanding of global governance structures, rights and responsibilities, global issues and interconnections between the global, the national, and the local systems and processes. So therefore, promoting this better understanding among everyone, but then particularly for today, we can focus on young people and how this can be relevant for the actions that they're trying to accomplish. Then another important objective is to recognize and appreciate the differences in multiple identities. So I think this is something particularly important today within a globalized world in which we're all connected. And this session today is a great example. Maybe 2 years ago, we were not necessarily thinking about online presentations, online conferences, but today it's just very normal. But this means that we're also becoming closer with people from other cultures, for people from other countries, and with different backgrounds, and therefore different ideas, different set of beliefs, and so on. So it's really important to be able to recognize and appreciate our differences and also the different identities that we shape for ourselves and for others. Moving on, also there's another important objective is how to develop and apply critical skills for civic literacy. And when we talk about civic literacy, we're referring, for instance, to critical thinking, critical inquiry, information technology, media literacy, problem solving, and all of those that you can see on the slide. So these are also something that today we're calling like this 21st century skills, right? Like for young people. They're all very relevant, but they're very relevant, especially the outset of this globalized community that I was just referring to right now, both in online spaces, and this is something that we can probably relate to very personally, but then also offline. Like we all know how there is a reduced, let's say, difficulties to move around the world. Of course, pandemic-wise, maybe not, but then it hasn't never been as easy to travel from one place to another as it is today. Of course, we cannot neglect the fact that this is not an egalitarian situation for everyone, but we have much more connections and much more mechanisms to be able to move around and to connect with others. And therefore, all of this skills that will help us to understand others better and work with them, be with them in a peaceful and harmonized environment can definitely are definitely important. And then we have also a few ideas about developing attitudes of care and empathy, as well related to this that I was just saying, how important it has become to have those skills and attitudes to be able to live in a diverse world and be able to take the best advantage of it. And finally, also to develop values of fairness and social justice, and skills to critically analyze inequalities based on gender, socioeconomic status, culture, religion, age, and other issues. So we can, in a way, say that these are all issues that we are seeing increasing today, partly because of this interconnection. But then this interconnection is not just a source of issues, but rather as a source of opportunities that we should take advantage, especially as young people, to be able to take the best advantage of having the chance to work and be in diverse settings in which we can learn from each other and enrich one another with our different experiences and backgrounds and so on. So these are just a quick overview of some of the most relevant objectives of this idea, framework, or guideline of GCED, however you want to call it. But I just want to present like some of the things that I believe are key in this idea. And then I wanted to briefly present to you some of the reasons maybe, or some of the aspects that we need to take into consideration as young people, but just as citizens, as global citizens in general, about this idea of local versus local. And when I say global, what I basically mean is that we need to start thinking globally, in the sense that our global or local actions have an impact on a bigger scale. So therefore, if I act on something local, I will be having a global impact. And then the other way around, if I'm participating in this global structure or global activity or whatever it is, then also there's an impact of the local. So therefore, we need to start being aware and thinking and acting this in this way. And this are just some things that I'll quickly go through. So globalization, I think I mentioned a few times this, the globalized world that we're living, and therefore this idea of locality and being aware of this is really important in the world that we're living today. And then I was talking about like these two concepts that were key: interdependence and interconnectedness. And again, there probably hasn't been a time in the world before in which we had so much connection between people, and not just people that we know, but then we can easily connect with people anywhere and at any time. And therefore, this brings different challenges, that we can tackle through GCED. Also, the global scale issues are something really important. And today we are all aware, for instance, of one major global issue, which is climate change. And if we are experiencing this issue all over the world in different expressions, then why not use the tools that GCED is providing us to work together on it, to be able to understand others, develop empathy, to be able to have this set of skills and values that will help us to come closer to others and collaborate into finding a solution for this. And climate change is maybe just one example, but then there's many issues that we are facing. We're all facing major inequalities in our countries. We're seeing inequality gaps being widened and widened pretty much all the time. So therefore, there's a need to act upon this. And then GCED can be a great tool for this. And finally, youth and other vulnerable groups are constantly, and in most cases, the ones that are mainly affected by these issues that I just mentioned, but they're also the ones that have the most potential, and also, I would say, the most creativity, the most creativity as well, to be able to tackle this issue. So I put here that they could be the potential change maker. So I believe, and in the network we believe, and together with AppSU, we've been working on this based on this idea. The change can and is coming from youth. So therefore, GCED can just increase the chances of young people making and seeing the change that they want to actually happen. And I'm going to quickly go through this because of time, but I just want to present to you this quick image that gives an overview of the 4 key pillars of global citizenship education. So you can see here holism, dialogue, values formation, and critical thinking. Again, this is coming from UNESCO. And this is maybe from this very like normative perspective of global citizenship education, but I think it's useful to understand how this is related with different levels of action, and how this is related with different mechanisms of that we can see both at the local, regional, and global level. So this is, I think you're maybe going to have access to the recording or the presentation later on, so you can take a look back at this. And then I don't know what's happening. Okay. And finally, I wanted to briefly comment on how this can help us to build a better future. So how can GCED, how all of these things how all these concepts and ideas can help us to build a better future? So basically, I think that it can help us by these 4 ways. So to provide a framework for transformative education to be translated into action, then to promote a holistic education approach, considering that GCED speaks about the social, emotional, behavioral, and cognitive domains of education. So not just learning, but then acting and how we believe, how we feel, like all of this seeing humans as this integral element that learns and then therefore can act. Then also it can accompany the world's youngest population so far to create a sustainable living. So as we might know, then today's world population is the youngest ever. So therefore, this poses a great need for transformative approaches such as global citizenship education to be able to create a sustainable lifestyle, sustainable livelihoods and living. And I think this can be really helpful for that. And then also intergenerational and cross-sectoral dialogue and collaborations, because through the promotion of global citizenship education, we are also creating and favoring spaces in which young people can interact with each other, but not just young people, but also intergenerational spaces as well as intersectoral spaces. And I just have this quick picture right here of that I wanted to show, because GCD, although it sounds like this very complex idea, is actually something that's much more simple when you bring it to the local level, and it can actually be delivered in multiple contexts and settings, and there's not a single way to do it. So this is just a picture of the last in-person workshop that we had with APCU in Seoul. And this was a group of young leaders presenting their initiatives that related to GCD to each other, and it was a very enriching moment. So I just wanted to bring this up, because then don't think that this is something unimaginable, like you need to be an expert to do this. There's actually, as Jihang said early on, a lot of you that might already be working on this without being aware of it. So I'm gonna wrap it up here, and I'm gonna move on to Anna to keep us moving and talk more about GCD and how can young people take action on this regard.
Thank you, Diego. Actually, Diego already said that when we speak about GCD, many times we are thinking about someone else or something that is far from us. But actually, most of the trainings that we are starting, most of the workshops that we are doing, we are starting with several questions. And one of them is, are we global citizens? And we start by asking our participants if they feel they are global citizens. And if they are, then how they feel about GCD and how they can do this in their community. Are they heard, or are they powerful? Do they have the space where they can include their voice, or they can ask for changes from their local authorities or national authorities, or from their partners or colleagues and community in general? And actually, there is no doubt that all of us are global citizens. We are global citizens in different ways, but today is the most connected generation ever on the planet. We are all connected. We are part of this wonderful international event. We are part of many changes and things that are going on in our communities, in our neighborhoods, in our schools, and also this is about GCD, and this is about being a global citizen. As being a global citizen doesn't really means to speak English and to be to travel around the world. It means to be in the center of what's happening, and we are all in, especially in these times when we have such a change at the global level, and all of us are aware of what's happening. We do hear news, we are part of the social media, and most of the time we are doing things that are changing our communities in better. And not necessarily we need someone to tell us what to do. It's mostly about us feeling that something goes wrong and we want to change it. And if we do this, then we will have a better or a more decent life here for ourselves, but also we will change the community for the future generations as well. So most of us here, and most of the activists, most of the leaders, most of the young people today are global citizens that are responsible and involved in changes that are going on. And when we speak about changes, and when we speak about how we can improve the community life and the community and the conditions where we live, then we move to the term of advocacy. And what that means, what is advocacy? It's basically a call for a change, a call for something that we want to be different, a call for something that we feel it's not how it should be. And then voice of those who want to change the change. And this is about our voices. It's about us saying that something is wrong and actually we want it to be better or we want it to change. And then it's evidence, because it's not enough to say that, oh, I think that something is wrong and actually I want to change this, but it's necessary to have evidence to say why this is not working well and why we want it to change and why we want this change in this way. So evidence is a key factor in advocacy. And then it's about advocacy. It's about how we do the changes in our communities, how we ask for the changes, and how we build our voice based on evidence to be able to speak the truth to the power in an organized way. And when we speak about advocacy, we always speak about organized way to call for a change. Organized in terms of team, in terms of voice, in terms of what we want to change and how we want to change, but also organized in terms of how we speak about this and how we inform others about what we are doing. Because except the fact that we want to do something and we want to change our community, it's very important that we speak about this with our peers, with our community members, and even with other communities, because it's not just about us, but it's about us as global citizens. So we don't want just to do changes, but we want to inspire others to do as well changes in their communities, and little by little to change the whole world. So that's how the young generation today is functioning, especially with so many communication channels. So when we move on, and we speak about young people or educators as advocates, it's important to take into consideration several things. The first one is that they are the most connected generation ever. And today we are connected thanks to the internet, thanks to the social media, thanks to the so many channels that we can use to communicate with so many people from different parts of the world, to share what we do in our community, to inspire, but also to get inspired by others. We are full of energy, and Diego already mentioned that young generation today is one of the most energetic, and actually this energy can be used to do good things. And if it's not used, then it's a pity to just to lose it. So, and we are those that have time to do good things in our community or for our community, because young people are those that have no families, no job responsibilities, so they are more flexible, and that's the right time to change the things in better in their community, and to dedicate time to community and to social advocacy. Why we can do this? It's first of all because those living in the community and those feeling the issues, they actually know better and best what are the issues that affects us, and they have skills and access to learning opportunities. And actually today, if we speak about learning opportunities, especially after the pandemic, when everything started to be so much online, many people around the world started to have more access. And actually it's not that they have more access, but also is that they are more aware about the opportunities that they can find online, because we start to get used not just to have someone that should come to our school or to our community to tell us something, but we can search it and we can find it and learn by ourselves using the online courses and online events and so on. And here the APSIU campus is one of the best in terms of learning how you can become an advocate, how you can advance GCED in your community, and how you can inspire others to do the same. And of course, I'm sure that everyone on this globe, on this planet, wants to live better in their community, in their country, and in this world. So that's why we are those that can advance GCD and bring changes in starting from our neighborhood or from our family or from our community and moving it to the global level, because we are global citizens. And there is no doubt that we are global citizens, because if we'll discuss about the characteristics of a global citizen, then we will see that this is about us, about every one of us, and we are global citizens, not necessarily having all of the characteristics or same characteristics, but having some of them that are making us different global citizens, but still in the same way involved and responsible for what's happening on the globe. So if we think about how we can make this work, and sometimes when we hear about advocacy and GCD, and as it was already mentioned, we think it's about someone else, something else, somewhere else. But actually, it's about us, and it's about being here where we are. And in order to make it work, we need to take into consideration several steps. And one of them, which is the most important, is to have a good plan. As I said, advocacy is not just about speaking or about calling something or about having a voice, but it's also about organized way to express your voice, to express your requests or the change that you want to see. So in this sense, we need to have a good action plan, to have a good or organized way to change things and to start an advocacy campaign. In order to develop an advocacy plan, we have several things that we want to address. And the first one is to define an issue that we understand, an issue that we feel, an issue that we can describe, and an issue that we have evidence on. And then it's very important to think about what is our goal, what we want to see in the end, like why we start to do this, why I care about girls' education, why I want girls in my community to go to school, and then where I want to end this, like what's the result that I want to see. So this is about the goal, and it's about to define very clearly where we want to go with our campaign or with our actions, because otherwise it would be very difficult for us to monitor where we are, where we want to go, and if the result or the change that we want to bring is close or not. Then it's very important to understand what we have and what we need. Because starting something like an advocacy campaign or starting something at the local level, like a small campaign around a small issue, it's about dedicating time and effort. Sometimes it's also about some material resources, so we need to analyze them from the very beginning and to be aware how much time, how much effort we need to dedicate, and what we have and what we can use to improve our work or to do our work in the end. It's also important, and we have to think about objectives, like what are the small objectives or the small steps that we want to reach in order to reach our big goal. And then actions, like what we will do, what exactly we will do to reach our objectives, to reach our goal, and to solve our issue. What are the tactics, like how we will address the issue, how we will implement our actions and reach the goal. And last, but I would say one of the most important is what is our message, what we communicate about the issue that we want to address, what we say to those that have power to change it, but what we say to those that are following us, what we say to those that want to participate, to be part of this change and to support the campaign, and what we are saying to those that do not like the campaign that we started, that are against or are our opponents. So message is something that it's on the last on this list, but also it's the one that we have to pay more attention. And when we speak about message, I just like to say that we are all brilliant in communicating with our peers and saying what we want and how we want this, but it's important to take into consideration several aspects, because brilliant messages are simple, solution-focused, practical and reasonable in their requests, evidence-based, includes real-life stories, facts, and stats, appropriate for the audience, personal. They show why you care. And it's very important that all the time when we are thinking about something that we want to say, to think also what we want people to do after they hear our message. What we want them, what kind of actions we do expect from them after they hear us and after they hear what we are saying, what we are caring about. And here we have 3 aspects that we should build on when we build our message. And the first one is, of course, the evidence that I was already mentioning several times. And here in the first image, you'll have the brain. So evidence is actually helping us to connect with the issue in a very rational way, because evidence proves us that we have rational reasons to trust this group, to trust these people that is speaking with us, and to start doing something to change the things. And then in the second image, you have the heart, because advocacy and messages, it's also about why we care about this. It's about emotions. It's about life stories. It's about something that made us to start this campaign or local work. And then in the third image, you have the hands with the heart, what means that it's about action. Hands are those that are helping us most of the time to do the things. So our message should be about evidence and address the brain, emotions and address the heart, and then actions and address the hands, like start acting. So these are several suggestions that you can start using immediately after this session, because it's not just about building big messages, and it's not just about starting community campaigns or advocacy campaigns, but it's about everyday communication, and starting to use these 3 aspects when you are talking, you'll see how much different is the reaction from the people you are speaking with, and you'll see how much difference is in their actions after they hear your story or your message. Here are two links that you can use to find out more information and get more resources. And of course, here are our email addresses. And in case you have questions or you want to discuss something, or you think that our advice or recommendation can be helpful, we encourage you to contact us. And thank you so much for the attention. And this was our very short presentation on very big subjects and aspects that can be discussed in 7 days workshop. But also we try to present them very shortly and give the most important conclusion or summary of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna, and thank you, Diego, for the excellent presentation. So thank you so much. I believe that we learned a lot from what you said. And also, actually, as Anna said, yeah, it's a very big kind of topic. And then we had to do it in a very short time. So I know that it must be very challenging for you, but you did such a great job. So thank you very much. And also, 2 of you made it very clear that the global and local issues that we face, it's not about someone else's. It's our own issues, and we are the ones who are being most affected by all these issues. So that's why we young people need to take actions, get involved in those issues, and doing something, at least in your own capacity. So you made it very clear, and it was quite impressive. So thank you very much for that. So now I would like to open the floor so that we can have some questions from the participants, so that I can deliver those questions to Diego and Anna. So even in this room, if you have any questions, you can raise your hands. You can do it in Korean. 한국말로 하셔도 괜찮습니다. 질문.
You may ask question in Korean as well.
Also, who are online, you could also do it in the chat box so that we can give the questions to them. All right, so before I move to these questions from the participants, I would like to ask a question. So you have shared that how much you are motivated and you've done these great jobs and everything. So I would like to know, and I think that people would like to know, what has motivated you, the Diego and Anna, to get involved in this global citizenship initiatives? Can you please share your own stories with us? Maybe Diego first.
Yes, thank you, Jihan. So I think for me it was a bit of a weird path how I ended up working in something called global citizenship education, because then I like to say that it was an accident, a very good accident, because I was working on a lot of volunteering initiatives, like mainly focused on citizenship participation earlier in Guatemala. And then I was working on like climate initiatives and so on with all the young people in my country. And then one day I found about global citizenship education, and I realized that that was already what I was doing. Like it was covering the topics that I was doing. The goals were the same, the aim was the same, but I was just calling it different ways. So I think I wanted to make a difference, and I want to feel like I was doing something good. And then it turned out that I was already doing some GCD, just that I didn't know about that. So I think that was the way in which I came to be a part of this GCD topic. But then it was a very happy accident, and I'm glad that it happened. that was the case for me.
This is a very good question, and as I said many times, it's very important to share what we are doing, because that may inspire other people. And for me, the reason why I'm involved and the highest motivation, it was in my slides, in what I said. It was because I understand that I want to live in a better community, in a better world. It's not about someone else. It's about me creating better conditions for me today and for my next generations tomorrow. And actually, when first I was involved in a local activity, it was in our school, and it was something like very basic and local. We just wanted students not to be late to the classes, so we wanted to do something to make them to come in time. And actually, I was 12 years old, and this campaign was so well done and successful in our school, because it was the first time when students said to the students that they should not be late, instead of teachers saying to the students, and it worked. So because it worked, I was so motivated to do something else, because I had the feeling that I have power, and I can speak, and I have the voice, and I have the issues that I care about, and actually I can change the things. So after that, I started to be more involved in more campaigns in my community, and then in my country, and then at the international level. And all the time, even when it was not successful, I understood that I have the voice, I have the power, and I should use this to make life better for me today, for my next generation tomorrow, and for us in general. And also because I believe that young people are powerful and they have voice. They just need to get involved, and then the role will start falling the ball will start rolling very, very fast and very successful.
Thank you, Anna and Diego, for sharing your stories. Yeah, I mean, as both of them have said that, I think it's really important to have this small experience. You know, sometimes you think that if you need to do something like on global citizenship, then you might think that I have to do something huge, right? So you need to do some huge campaign or, you know, some big things. However, it could start from a very, very small personal experience, and it gets grow from there. So yeah, thank you for sharing that, Anna and Diego. You have reminded us of that. So yeah, it seems that you have engaged in many different activities in your own communities. So and also you have emphasized that taking action is very important, but it's not always easy, right? Rather, it's very challenging. You might have faced many obstacles and challenges when you initiate something. So yeah, can you please share your wisdom based on your experience when you have faced these difficulties and challenges? And if there are any specific cases that you can share, can you please? And also, can you please share us how you have overcome those challenges? So whoever is ready?
I can start maybe. So I think maybe talking specifically from the perspective of young people in general, but based on my particular experience, of course, I think there's like several challenges, and maybe when you're young, then it's even harder sometimes because of like this inherent things that are associated with youth. So then, like I think one first barrier when you're acting upon something as young people, then first of all is like trying to make others understand why you as a young person, even though you're not an expert, why do you have things of value to say? And I think Anna framed it very nicely. Like we hold a power that we sometimes are not aware of, but then once that we start exploring that, then we can take the best advantage of that, and that helps to convince others. In my case, the experience has been one of the ways in which I have been sort of trying to like overcome the barrier of other people seeing me as this young person that doesn't know what's talking about, has been to ask uncomfortable questions that address your issue, like that would actually put this other person in a situation in which they have to reflect upon why you are not a credible voice and they are. Like sometimes it's not very easy, but then whenever you have the chance to help others reflect upon why they're judging others based on their age, for example, even if they have solid evidence, they have a clear message, they have clear goals, clear like objectives that they're trying to aim, and there's others that are also supporting them, then why not support them? Why not believe in them if they have everything that just another person would have, maybe just a different age? So I think that's one of the biggest challenges, but it's also a source of potential, because then there's a lot of young people that also have assets and resources and experiences that can help you. So I think the two things that I would say that help are talking about maybe three things, like asking the uncomfortable questions to start reflections also about power, about how we are all different actors and how we hold different levels of power. And then also to gather, to network, to see who else is working on the subject that you want to work on, to connect with others that can help you, and that could potentially help you increase the scope of, or the impact that you're trying to achieve. So I think there's different ways, but then it's about how do you do what you're doing better with others. And yeah, I think that those are a few things.
And from my side, I'll just share what I do. So I hope that this can be useful. I think that it's very important that we celebrate our success in a very small part. I don't think, like, my personal wisdom, as Ji-Hong said, is that I cut everything in very small pieces. Very small. Like, do not wait for the big result to be happy and to celebrate. Celebrate each step of your work. Celebrate each small thing that you were able to change. And in my case, this worked all the time, because we have big dreams, we have big goals, we want to achieve big changes, but this is not possible if we don't achieve small goals, small changes, small steps. So just cut everything in the smallest pieces possible, and then you will see how easy it is to get from one to another one. As you noticed on my slide on the advocacy, I put an image of a puzzle. Everything is about a puzzle, and we should be happy for each piece that we put in the right place. And that's the secret of doing big advocacy campaigns and achieving big results, when we celebrate each small result and each small step that we took. And I'll just share a very, very short story. Once we were in the community speaking to the mayor about the change that we wanted to have in the community. And we noticed that at that meeting, there was like no one listening to us. It was just like, they just had the meeting, but no one like really cared about what we said and what we wanted. But then after the meeting, I was just saying like, but we are here and we are the first young persons that had the courage to request for a meeting with the mayor, to go to the meeting with the mayor, to talk to him, even if he was not able to be open and listen to us. But we were there. That was already a big change, and that was already a big step for that community. So we should learn to celebrate the small things that we are doing and to see actually them, because many times we see just the final result and we are looking for that, just for the final results, and we forgot to see the small results, that the small goals that we achieve on the way. So my recommendation will be to cut everything in small pieces and to celebrate every small step and result that we have on our daily involvement or daily work.
Thank you, Anna and Diego. I mean, yeah, thank you for sharing your wisdom, and also thank you for sharing your very positive vibe. So now I think that after I hear from you, like, we feel that, yeah, we can do something at least, right? So we feel that we have this confidence. So thanks for sharing that. Okay, so then is there any question? There's one question from the participants here.
네, 안녕하세요. 아태영.
Hello, everyone. I'm supporter. My name is Shin. I have one question. As a young generation, I fully agree with the GCED, and I fully agree with both of you, especially Korean young generation. They're eager to get a job, and they don't have much time or room to think about other things like GCED because they are trying to get a job and work. And when we talk about education, that means you have the spare times, especially the terminology of GCED is grandiose thing, something that's beyond their capacity. So young generation who doesn't have any time, doesn't have a room to do that, how can we motivate them? How can we engage them to work for the GCED? Can you give us a specific way? How can we motivate them and ask them to join in our efforts to realize GCED?
Okay, so I think we can start. Yeah, so I think thank you very much for that question, and I think this is maybe the case for a lot of young people around the world, right? Like there's different priorities. So why should GCD be a priority? It's a very good question, and I think one of the few things that I could say around this are first of all that there is, as we were saying in the presentation, there's not just one way of practicing or delivering or understanding GCD, but rather multiple ways. So in that regard, how can you make somebody that doesn't have the time, a young person that's looking for a job, that's maybe transitioning from university to work, or that's just very focused on certain aspects, then I think one way in which you can get them motivated is by explaining, first of all, how GCD is not just about acquiring knowledge, as we briefly put in the presentation. It tries to cover like the social, emotional, the cognitive, the behavioral aspects of learning. But it's not just about being in a classroom and learning. It's also about other aspects. So you can even practice and work around GCD at your workplace, for example. You can have conversations with your colleagues about, for instance, topics that are of relevance. If there is a particular activity happening, for example, in Korea, like this forum, for example, that we're part of, talking to your colleagues about this forum, like how you met other people, what meeting other people meant, talking about like feelings, talking about how you appreciated maybe diversity, and so on. There could be many different ways in which you can address GCD at your workplace, for instance. That's one way. Then you also have your communication channels at our disposal today. Like we all have a phone, right? You can participate, for instance, by helping disseminate information about GCD. You can also learn, for example, we mentioned the GCD Online Campus that's available for free for everyone. This is also another tool. So I think it is a matter of understanding how, from my particular space, I can contribute to GCD, even though I'm not an activist. I'm not somebody that has this organization that's working specifically on this. But then how, from my particular space, either private or public, I can contribute to this as well. I don't know if Anna has something to add about how to make this a priority.
I'll just try to repeat what I said on my last slide with the 3 images. Do you remember the brain, the heart, and the hands? So just try this starting from now. Try to build all your messages and everything what you said, not necessarily about GCD, everything that you want to say to someone, based on these 3, try to address their brain with evidence, their heart with emotions, and their hands with actions. Try this and you'll see what will be the difference in their action. But I'm sure that you'll see how much more they are interested in what you are saying, because people care about what they care about. If you touch their emotions, if you touch their brain, and if you give them a concrete action that they should take, then most probably they'll take it. And if not everyone will start acting and show their interest, most probably everyone will start to think about this. And this is already a big change that you can make. If they'll start to analyze this and think about this, most probably the action will follow. Maybe in 1 year, maybe in 2 years. Everyone is different. Everyone is acting different. Everyone is involved different. But if we are managing to reach them with our messages, then we are already doing a big change. And that's already about advancing GCD in all senses.
Thank you, Anna and Diego, for these answers. So I think that many young people who are watching this would feel pretty much the same, because our young people are too busy. They are having so many works to do, and then also they have some worries for the future. So it's not only about these jobs that what they're going to have, but it's also about the issues that we face every day. With this pandemic period, we have seen these inequalities, injustices, and also climate crisis and discrimination, all these problems we have seen. And some of us, we have experienced ourselves, right? And then you might feel that, there are not so many things I can do. However, as Diego and Anna said, you could talk to your friends. You could go and talk to your family members. You can start with your own workplace, your colleagues. And also we are living in this social media world, so you can spread the positive message on that. So that's how we are creating the changes. So again, I think it has been emphasized throughout the whole session today. So yeah, we need to start, and it can be a very small step. It doesn't really have to be very big something. So yeah, I hope that you could also find these at small rooms in your daily life so that you can contribute to making the changes in our society. Yeah, so this is almost the end of this session. So we have around 1 minute. So can I just ask Diego and Anna, give us the one last message for about 20 seconds or something? Diego first.
Yes, I always have issues with the shorter messages, but I just want to say thank you. And maybe one thing I can say is reach out in case you think we can be helpful. As the GCED Youth Network, we are there to assist you in case you have questions about how to start, what can I do, where do I find things. So reach out, look for the website that we share with you, and start small. I think if that's starting small is the best way.
I want to say a big thank you as well. And I truly believe that this kind of events and discussions are a huge step in advancing GCED. And as I said before, I really trust in our voice and power. And I'm sure that everyone is powerful if we'll find out this. And to find out this, we need to take actions. We need to do something. We need to learn and then to apply what we learned. And if from today's session you learned one thing, then try to apply it as much as possible. And then you'll just discover how much power you have in your actions, in your voice, and how much you can change by your own actions and your own work. So thank you very much. And as Diego said, just let us know if you have any other questions or you want to discuss anything else. And if you are thinking about starting a campaign in your community, just reach out and we'll send you the materials and the resources that we have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Diego and Anna. Thank you, everyone. So thank you.